What's up, you political vigilantes? You are all helping making Gotham great by watching this show. You don't want to watch the news on the corporate media. Pay the cable companies, the telecoms, and all that nonsense so they can push some crazy narratives that we don't want to hear about. One of the things we're seeing them do is push corporate candidates because there's, 20-some people running in the Democratic field, and they keep trying to tell us that nobody wants to watch Bernie and their Tulsi doesn't exist, and there's the real people you read and you get behind are Joe Biden and Kamala Harris or Beto O'Rourke or whatever. So this actually article was submitted by Patreon supporter Justine Johansson. Justine, thank you so much. Folks, you can support the show and submit articles like this if you go to patreon.com/GrahamElwood. Only accept politicians who have proved they actually care about people other than themselves. This article is by Nathan J. Robinson, and it's pretty fantastic. So it's about Pete Buttigieg, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Again, on paper, he's openly gay. He is an Afghan war vet, and he's a progressive, or so they claim. So now we know that term progressive has been co-opted by the corporate Democrats. So how do we know? What do we know? This guy, he's a small town mayor. South Bend, Indiana is a very small town. It's where Notre Dame University is. Who is he? Is he a real? And they're already grooming him now. He could potentially be the. And here's where I start to have pause. And this is what Nathan J. Robinson does an excellent job. Read the whole article. It's in the show notes. But he points out all of this, how this was in the Washington Post, the most interesting mayor you've never heard of, right? Oh my God. Could Pete Buttigieg become the first millennial president? Oh man, that was in the Washington Post. They really want this guy. New York Times, the first gay president? Oh man, if this ain't liberal clickbait, I don't know what is. So let's meet this guy. All right, I'm on board, right? Openly gay guy. I'm for gay rights. I'm progressive. I was glad Obama passed gay marriage thing. Right on. He's in the military. Man, I've done USO and shows for the military in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Kuwait. I'm a big proponent of vets. That's one of the things I like about Tulsi Gabbard. Let's see what he had to say in an interview. This was on Vice.
On the one hand, you definitely speak very progressively, but you don't have like a lot of super specific policy ideas.
Yeah, part of where the left and the center left have gone wrong is we've been so policy led that we haven't been as philosophical. We like to think of ourselves as the intellectual ones, but the truth is the right has done a better job in my lifetime of connecting up its philosophy and its values to its politics. Right now, I think we need to articulate the values, lay out our philosophical commitments, and then develop policies off of that. And I'm working very hard not to put the cart before the horse.
Is there time for that? They want the list. They want to know exactly what you're going to do.
I think it can actually be a little...
Is there time for that? I mean, do you have time to come up with actual policies if you're going to run for president of the United States? Or is it easier to just come up with platitudes and progressive clickbait? He literally just said, the left and the center left get all tied up in wanting policy. That's what resonates with voters, dummy. This is another guy. We start to learn if you read the article. Oh, he went to Harvard. He worked for this big consulting firm that consults big money people. He's part of the privileged ruling class. He has a book out that says nothing. Oh man. Looks like we got so Beto O'Rourke, he's part Latino apparently because his name is Beto even though his actual name is Robert Francis O'Rourke. See more of the distraction? Good looking young guy, millennial. He says some things in this interview that are like, he's like, millennials should absolutely shape the conversation because in 2054, we will be the age of the current president. So we have a say. Wow, that resonates with me. I say this all the time. Millennials should absolutely be getting involved because you're going to be living in a post-apocalyptic nightmare if climate change isn't addressed today. But then he literally just said, we can't get all bungled up in policy. Well, then why am I voting for you? Gee, another centrist with platitudes. Did that work in 2016? I forget. Did a centrist with platitudes over policy, did that work? Did that work? I forget. I have a bad memory.
Dishonest to think you have it all figured out on day one. Look, I think anybody in this race or conversation is going to be a hell of a lot more specific and policy oriented than, say, the current president. But I don't think we ought to have that all kind of locked in on day one.
Then what are you doing?
These citizens, they have that feeling that it's their job to vet you for the rest of the country.
Yeah, that was kind of the vibe I got, right? There's clearly people.
The vibe I got too.
Yeah, it's like being in front of a hiring committee. They like want to really like, wow, all right,
crazy.
Poke some holes and see what you do, right?
That's nuts that running for the most important job ever is like people would want to actually know. It's weird. I mean, that's like, wow. Ooh, sounds like some purity tests. Oh, boy. It's almost like if we don't really vet someone, we'll get an orange-skinned psychopath that was in office because a progressive was cheated in the primary level by a Wall Street warmongering corporatist. I don't know. What do I know?
Detailed policy white papers may be coming soon, but Mayor Pete has to make a name for himself first. So for the time being, he'll be out there, trying to make the personal connections he thinks will give him a way into the national conversation.
You're less free to start a business if you're afraid of losing your health care, or if you don't have a solution for childcare, or if you don't have a benefit structure that matches the 21st century. That's about your freedom, right?
I'm having a moment right now. No, you don't understand, like this, like business climate. We need to be talking about public education and paid family leave and quality public schools as part of growing our entrepreneurial future.
Yeah, I mean, why would we pit capital? Well, we'll take it. That's great.
Okay, great, Pete. But like, great, then say that. Come out with actual policy. Say, I'm going to be for $15 an hour. I'm going to be for Medicare for all. I'm going to be for a Green New Deal. I'm going to be for free college tuition. Say actual policies. I think we're all tangled up in this. I mean, God, this is just a non-table jumping Beto O'Rourke. But here's what Nathan J. Johnson talks about, which is fantastic. I don't trust military intelligence officers. Oh, that's what he did? He was in military intelligence. Oh, I smell a deep state candidate. Hey, thanks, deep state. Thanks for bringing this guy to our attention, deep state. This is the diversity of the ruling class. Gay, vet. Boy, I like him. I'm a neoliberal that doesn't have time to watch the real news. So that's what we need. The vets will appeal to the red staters. What appeals to red staters is what appeals to blue staters, which is how are you going to pay for your kids' college? How are you going to pay your medical bills? The number one reason for bankruptcy in America is medical costs. How are you going to do that? Say Medicare for all. Say it. I was in the military. We spend too much money on war. I want that money to go for the American people, not bombing. I don't trust military intelligence officer, and I don't trust the type of people likely to appear on a 40 under 40 lists. The valedictorian to Harvard to Rhodes scholar, he's a Rhodes scholarship types who populate the American elite. That's why they're pushing him. That's why CIA-backed Washington Post and pro-war New York Times are pushing this guy, because he's part of their group of elites. He's part of the ruling class. He's a rich kid. I don't trust people who get flattering reams of newspaper profiles and are pitched as the next big thing that you must pay attention to. And I don't trust wunderkinds who become successful too early. How do you get so successful so quickly? It's like the self-made billionaire hoax that they always talk about. No one's a self-made billionaire. You were propped up, you were helped, you had rich parents, you were groomed and selected by the ruling class to allow you into their inner circle. Because if you challenge the ruling class, guess what, kids? You don't get this kind of action. You don't get it. Few people amass these kind of resumes if they are typed to openly challenge authority. Noam Chomsky says that the factors predicting success in our meritocracy are a combination of greed, cynicism, obsequiousness, and subordination, lack of curiosity and independence of mind, and self-serving disregard for others. Yep. And you know what else isn't in here? Policy, because you really want the world to be a better place, because you see what's wrong, you see the good things you have in your life or the struggles you're having, and you say that's not right. You don't have that when you're a rich kid that is given all these things and is, you know who else is a Rhodes Scholar? Rachel Maddow's a Rhodes Scholar. Wasn't Bill Clinton a Rhodes Scholar? When he expanded the prison population, gave us NAFTA, got rid of Glass-Steagall. Obama went to Harvard. He took us from 2 wars to 7. Bush went to Yale when he made an illegal war into Iraq and lied about weapons of mass destruction. How did he get into Yale? Was it because he was a great student? Oh no, his rich daddy put him in there. The same rich daddy that gave him a deferment so he didn't have to go to the Vietnam War. It's that he spends zero time in his book discussing the economic struggles of the residents of his city. Yes, there are serious economic problems in South Bend, Indiana, and he doesn't address them. It's not like he's got a chapter in his book that says we have these economic problems and here's what I've done to fix them. We had 15% unemployment. In my term, we've got that down to 7%. Like, there's nothing like that. Did you know there's a giant racial wealth gap in South Bend? You won't if you read about South Bend in his book, Shortest Way Home. He's got this book. See, there's a book, and it just shows it's all personality and platitudes and identity politics over policy. Gee, I wonder why. How did Trump win? The whole country must hate women. No. He tapped into a populist. People forget that. Trump ran on a populist, anti-interventionist platform. He also had sexist, racist, xenophobic crap. This wall he wants to build is ridiculous. But he said, I'm going to bring jobs back here. I'm going to make America great again. He hasn't done any of those things, and that's what you should be running on. So I went to opensecrets.org. And he's too new to have like his people who's donated to him. But he debuted Washington Ambitions through a 2018 PAC donations. If you go to Open Secrets and just put his name in, you see this whole article and you see this big PAC that got money from the consulting firm that he donated to, and law firms and realtors and all that sort of neoliberal, we don't give a damn about working people group. Don't fall for it, guys, because all we got is another Bobby Francis O'Rourke standing on a table. See, this is what O'Rourke does. I don't have platforms, so I'm going to doubt. This guy's looking at his feet. She's looking at her phone. No one is impressed with your nonsense. If you had platforms that would help their lives, they will. Bernie Sanders is not the perfect candidate, but he's saying things that are going to help people. Medicare for all. Free college tuition. Things Hillary Clinton called ponies. Ending all the wars, man. That's what people want. 60% of Americans don't have $500 to $1,000 in savings. They can't handle a $500 to $1,000 emergency. 3,000 cities have lead levels at Flint or worse. So policy, how are you going to make it better? I'm in a one-bedroom rent-controlled apartment because I lost my home. I bought an electric car, but the federal tax break got erased by Trump. Tell me you're going to bring that back. That's a policy. You're going to increase incentives. You're going to stop subsidies to the oil lobby and give it to green technology. Tell me that. God damn it, I have a better platform than you. And I'm a surfing hippie comedian. I don't stand on a table. I do a YouTube channel because you guys are smart enough to not get your news from CNN and the New York Times and the other jagwackons that push these clowns. He's no different. Beto, Pete, whatever. Robert Francis, or he's about as Mexican as I am. Paco Elwood. Elwood, Spanish for the wood. Isn't that fancy? Like, subscribe, share the videos, watch the ads, go to the Patreon, and I can bring you the truth that the mainstream media won't bring you. That's why you watch me. Let your friends know about it.